Hello, everybody, and welcome into the second in-depth look at a Senate race. This time we're breaking down the state of Arizona. Let's start with the RCP numbers. It shows basically a complete tie in the Arizona Senate race. The Harris X poll has McSally up by 3, but that's trending towards Sinema. The ABC 15 poll also showed McSally up by quite a bit earlier. It's now just a 1-point lead. Let's check out some of those older polls. So I mentioned the bigger leads in the ABC 15 poll back in the middle of October, a 7-point lead for McSally. Early October, a 6-point lead for McSally. Back into September, a 3-point lead for McSally. This ABC 15 poll has consistently showed McSally ahead. It's down to 1 point. Things could have shifted within that margin of error. It could be as simple as that. It could also show a sign that things are trending towards Sinema. Another thing we should take a look at, Harris X poll. It had McSally up by as much as 6, even earlier, which was not posted here, as much as 7 points. But this lead has dwindled. It has it down at 3 points here. And if you look at the last 3 days, which we'll take a look at 5:38 in just a moment, it actually has Sinema ahead. Well, let's run through these 6 polls, and then we'll head over to 5:38. Starting with Fox News, a reliable pollster. They have this as a tie, dead heat, complete tie. Again, Fox News is not just a Republican pollster the way that their news network is. They have actually an aggregation of 2 different pollsters, a Republican and a Democrat. Over to the Gravis poll, it has McSally up by 1 point. And Trafalgar, which is listed as a Republican pollster, 538 is not listed as a Republican pollster. It is important to note they have a very large sample size. It's generally a very good poll. This has Sinema up by 3 points. Emerson gives Sinema a 1-point lead, and then, of course, ABC 15 and Harris X show a slight lead in favor of McSally. All right, let's head on over to 538, and we'll take a look at some of these polls. The margin, again, are very, very close. The adjusted margins, every single poll here, are tilted to the Democratic side because apparently these are all, every single poll here has Republican leanings. Everything except this CNN poll. You have to go back about 15 polls for you to see one that Nate Silver actually adjusts to the right. So I don't know if every single one of these is actually a Democratic poll, or some of them, maybe they shouldn't be adjusted towards that side. I don't want to accuse Nate Silver of any wrongdoing here, though. The margin of error, the initial margin, it's pretty much back and forth. The 0.9-point lead from this Harris poll, the ABC 15 poll right here, it gives a 1-point lead to McSally. Again, it's very much back and forth with all of these different polls. And if you look at Nate Silver's numbers, again, 5 and 8 chance to the Democrat winning, 3 and 8 chance for the Republican. Classic model gives a 61.6% chance for the Democrats, just a 38.4% to the Republican. And then if you go over to his deluxe model, it gives a nearly 2 and 3 shot for Sinema to win. So now that you have an idea of what Nate Silver has, and taking a look at some of the earlier polls that may not have been included on Real Clear Politics, let's head over to Open Secrets, take a look at some of the money that has been spent and raised for each candidate. It's pretty even between these 2 candidates, between Sinema and McSally. Sinema raised a little bit more money. She also spent almost $6 million more than McSally, but what that means is in the last 2 weeks, McSally has been spending more than Sinema has. So that may lead to good news for McSally this afternoon into this evening when we get those first election results, but we will have to see. Moving over to the early voting. This is important information now. According to one website, I've received 2 different notices on the early voting information. According to Arizona Central, they say 41.8% of early voters are Republicans, 33.9% are Democrats. And this is another website that's telling me it's 34.6% Republican, 31.0% Democratic. So a little unclear exactly which one is right. Nonetheless, I have put this data over here so it is easier to comprehend. 2018, 7.9 point lead for the GOP is some of the information I found. Also a 3.6 point lead for the GOP. Both of these is good news for the Republicans. I'll tell you right why. Because of 2016. This was about a week and a half before the actual election, but this is the closest results I could find that from CNN. It had the Democrats with 37.4% of the early vote, the Republicans with just 36.5%, which shows a margin in favor of the Democratic Party. Of course, Trump ended up winning the state of Arizona by nearly 3.5 points. So the Democrats, when they do better in early voting, if Trump still wins, if the Republicans are doing better in early voting, I would not be at all surprised to see McSally win as well. I think this early voting is very good news for Martha McSally. And overall, I think it is going to actually may propel her to a victory. I think it's going to be a close race in Arizona. We see the polls reflecting that close race. But if I had to bet on it, I'm going to say this one is tilting in the favor of Martha McSally. So that'll do it for us here at Austin's Election Predictions. I'll be back early in the morning for some more election prediction videos. We're going to go and hit up Texas next, and then after Texas, we're going to go to Florida, and I'll run through my three major predictions for the day after that. So that's going to do it for me with the state of Arizona. We'll see you all tomorrow.